The big natural gas transport issue is the ongoing effort to get gas from Alaska's North Slope to the lower 48. Governor Sarah Palin made progress on the pipeline with one of her signature energy issues, but soon Alaska will have a new governor and possibly a new energy policy. Clean Skies' Tyler Suiters explains. Tyler.
Susan, as of this coming weekend, July 26th, Lieutenant Governor Sean Parnell will assume the governor's title in Alaska. But does this change in leadership mean a change in energy policy as well? Joining us now to talk about the possibilities is Drue Pearce. She is federal coordinator for the Alaska Natural Gas Transportation Projects and a semi-regular voice on all things Alaska and energy for us here at Clean Skies. Drue, great to have you with us again.
Great. Thanks for having me here.
Sure. Sarah Palin was such a driving force behind the pipeline.
Right.
That was really her major energy project. Do you see any change in strategy with Parnell taking over?
Well, I'm sure that Governor Palin will continue to be a passionate advocate for Alaska and for the pipeline, but I don't see a major change. Sean Parnell is intimately familiar with the project, with all the players. He worked as the Deputy Director for the Oil and Gas Division at Natural Resources during the Murkowski administration, and he was at the table during some of the negotiations under the Stranded Gas Act. So he brought that knowledge in. He's been up to speed all along through the AGIA process. So I think they'll continue pretty much the same.
Like soon-to-be former Governor Palin, he does, as you mentioned, come from an oil and gas background. Is that something of a prerequisite for a Republican assuming the highest office in Alaska?
If you spent time in the legislature, as Sean did, he's a former colleague of mine, you end up knowing a lot about the energy industry and the oil and gas industry in Alaska by virtue of the fact that when you're serving on committees, on either resources, finance, or other committees, you end up seeing all the oil and gas bills, seeing the industry come through, so you learn a lot about it. So while it's not a prerequisite, it certainly is helpful when you step into the governor's shoes.
Let's talk about where the pipeline project is right now, Drue, which I imagine takes up all of your time
day
to day. We covered the major announcement recently of ExxonMobil joining the partnership with TransCanada. I assume that you see that as a strengthening of that team's position.
Well, I think certainly it strengthens the position, but the actual best part about it for the project is the fact that we now have the third large North Slope producer of natural gas at the table and involved day to day with one of the two competing applicants. That's very important. Exxon was sitting off to the side. No project could move forward without them. Now they're actually party to a project, and I expect that we'll see some important motivation of that project, their application because of it.
Denali is the other group that has been a little bit out of the spotlight. Does that mean a weakening of its position at all?
Oh no, in fact, if you were in Alaska, they're not really out of the spotlight. In fact, Bud Fackrell, the president, just had a compass piece a week and a half ago about where they are with their project. And they're moving along. They're preparing for open season. And in fact, both applicants are doing that at the moment. So there's a lot of work going on in the offices where they're table-topping cost estimates because they need that Class 4 cost estimate before they can go to open season. And they're doing some initial design, very important strategically for those cost estimates too. So Denali is moving along. We don't see a lot of actual field work from them this summer, but frankly we don't see much from the TransCanada Exxon project either. We'll see major field work from both companies in 2010.
How much of that has to do with the prospect of legislation within the most recent Senate Energy Committee bill, a bipartisan bill, but it includes major incentives or stability, maybe it's a better way to put it, for the pipeline project through the loan guarantees?
It's a little early to tell. It's my understanding that the companies all watched that language carefully, but during the early negotiating days after our enabling legislation was passed with the first loan guarantee, the producers always said that they didn't really need a loan guarantee, although they might avail themselves of it. TransCanada always said that they thought that they would like to use the loan guarantee. I'm not sure what either Denali or now TransCanada Exxon will do with the loan guarantee, but that I think will become clear as they both apply for their open seasons with FERC. We'll see their financial plans, and they either will or won't include using the loan guarantee.
The committee leadership has been very visible in terms of working together, crafting a bipartisan bill with Jeff Bingaman and Lisa Murkowski.
Right.
But you were telling me, Drue, that this specific language doesn't come from the native Alaskan, Senator Murkowski.
No, it doesn't. It's not an Alaska effort at the beginning, although she's certainly very supportive, but it came from Senator Dorgan, who introduced language that came from the SAFE group. They made some suggestions on a number of energy issues, but the pipeline was one.
All right, Drue Pearce is federal coordinator for the Alaskan Natural Gas Transportation Projects, based at least part of the year here in Washington, D.C. Drue, it's great to have you with us, and thanks as always for your analysis.
Good to be here. Thank you very much.
Susan, we'll see where all the chips fall, probably early this fall, or maybe even late this summer, because this energy bill we've been talking about from the Senate Energy Committee should be addressed by the floor of the Senate sometime in September.
All right, we'll be following it. Tyler Suiters, thank you.